Anything out of the district improvement plan, or just leave that out for now?
The district improvement plan, as outlined in the adjusted numbers, what you have scheduled for year one. I mean, it's not,
Yep.
yes, I'd like to see what that includes.
Accreditation, in or out?
Is that a, you mentioned potential costs if we do not do it. Is this a last
Potential-
year for accreditation?
Accreditation for the elementary, for the Macomber and for the high school are coming up. There are studies that have to be done and prepared ahead of them actually coming to look at the schools. The problem if you're not accredited is that you tend to lose grant funding because many places will not even look at you if you're not an accredited school. So there is a cost if you don't run through the accreditation. But if you don't run through the accreditation, you don't incur the cost of actually doing the study.
So it's not, I also see the benefits is it's a tool for assessment. How are we doing? And right now, as we're getting into very lean times, we do need some type benchmarks, and they're not always financial. An accreditation process produces those, so
Mr. Song, could I ask you to finish your motion, and we'll get a second, and then we can discuss it?
I'm saying yes to that part of my
Accreditation
motion. So we
included.
just added accreditation. Was there any other questions to the motion?
The only other question would be whether we add into the budget the expansion of the landmark program, which was about $88,000.
That's not included at this time.
Can I repeat this just to make sure I have it all verified?
Sure.
Okay. Consider that Dr. Polly presents a budget with Chapter 70 level funded, ASME increase as contract indicates, and all anticipated contract 0.75 for administrators, and district improvement as outlined with adjusted numbers, accreditation included.
Thank you. Well done.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, I just want to say that I'm not going to support that in any way, shape, or form. I don't think at this point in the budget process we want to be itemizing specific things to do or not do, and I certainly don't think it's the place to unilaterally negotiate an administrative raise of X percent. I would personally like to see and we've done this the past two budget cycles, I would like to see a bracketed budget, worst case scenario, best case scenario, and then go from there. I would like to see that initial thing. So I am not going to vote for that motion. I would like to see a motion that brackets it with two worst case, best case scenarios. Mr. Sullivan?
As we're in the discussion phase, I think that may be a compromise. If you could, in turn, advise what brackets you'd be considering, what range. You're just talking about.
Where do you want to be in those
bottom line.
brackets?
The
Low and
5%
high?
increase,
So
10%, 0?
What Dr. Cully anticipates as the worst case if Chapter 70 is cut 5%, and if circuit breaker remains the same 40%, and if the special education, the anticipated special education savings next year of $100,000 is not realized, and if the
I'm fine with that. That's,
If that's, I'll withdraw my motion.
That bracketing.
That's a lot of work. It's a lot of budgets, actually.
well, I mean, that's how we've done it in the past two times. We've come with bracketed.
We'll work on it.
Mr. Harenstein.
Short of that, we, not to beat what apparently looks like a dead horse here, but we limited evaluation of identified improvements through a vote last week. And now, if Mr. Sullivan is going to withdraw the motion, fine. But the motion as it stands on the table is, again, adding additional limitations. And we just went through the presentation of how these are things that we need to have, and they've been identified as needs by building leads. We should, as we move forward, we should at least allow for some type of impact analysis. If we don't do it, here's what potential costs we may see in the next year. Here's what happens to the level of education that we're providing. Not simply going through with the proverbial red pen and striking through things so we can get into a box. That type of budgeting rarely is successful throughout the entire year when you just jump into that box so that we can quickly pass through something. We need to really assess and evaluate the impacts of going level funded. Just because the budget subcommittee asks us to go level funded does not mean this committee is obligated to take that action. We need to be looking out for the educational quality in this town.
Mr. Larry?
We did this all last week, and
Well,
if we
we
keep going
did it
over,
in
I have
terms
a
of
right
the
to
district
speak.
improvement
Yes,
plan.
in regards to district improvement plan, that's what he's speaking to. We did this all last week. If we keep coming back every week to redo something we've already done, we're never going to get through meetings, we're never going to get through the school year. We did this last week. If we would have had a full body, we could have hashed it out, and
All right,
maybe we would have
Mr.
come to a compromise. We
Thank
did at the 10%,
Okay.
and that's where we're at.
Thank you. Wait, hold on one second. Mrs. Sullivan.
I'd just like to restate the motion. The motion has been removed? Did we
The
get,
first one was removed.
No.
Oh, I rescind my second.
So you're rescinding?
no,
No, it
okay.
you all have not voted on it. You made the motion, you made the second, you have
Okay,
not
so
voted on
with the
it.
Discussed.
with the motion standing, a few points of information. The budget, as I outlined after listening to the presentation, is not going to be a level-funded budget, okay? We said level on a very small part of our income stream, which is Chapter 70. The motion does not ask for a level-funded budget. I believe it asks for the higher bracket, as I would anticipate. So if we can, and we're just having discussion now with the motion in place, but the motion calls to anticipate the best scenario that we've heard from Boston, and that's level-funded Chapter 70. I heard it again tonight. I've heard it many times. To anticipate a level fund at best from our state Chapter 70 revenue. That's the only place where level funded comes into play. The other areas,